What I'm going to share with y'all. It's identity. If you ask me, I honestly believe that our generation has been in an identity crisis, and they're crying out for help. And we look to the world to identify us, and we just take whatever they give us. And I believe in taking a stand against that.
Yep.
Identity, identifying me. Let me guess, I'm the short girl trying to sound like a rapper. In all reality, I'm just a poet. Because I may not rhyme as well as the others, I'm a slacker, and I'm weird because I like to make my topics about God, and I'm not ashamed to show it. Identity, identifying me. But dear world, why am I asking you to identify me if you have clearly been handing out false identities? You had no problem with giving me this misconception of perfection, and I didn't give in to your direction of who to be. So it made me a rejection, and you just threw me into deception with this misconception of telling me I would never be good enough. Again, a false identification. And we were all identified in some way as broken, but sometimes that thrown identity it broke us before the knife ever broke our skin. Broken before falling into depression, broken at the guilt from our sins, broken at the thought of worthlessness, and broken was just a word, and now broken is an identity. An identity is now based on the number of likes you get on your selfies on Instagram and Facebook, and it's all the comments of "you're beautiful" or "you're not." And it became based on the way you looked in this material things of the world, like everything you've got. Identity. You want to talk about identity. Identity was supposed to be the one thing that made us unique and made us who we are, but lately it's been defined in everything we aren't. And Ephesians 1 verses 4 and 5 says, "For I have chosen you in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love he predestined us to be adopted as his sons through Jesus Christ, in accordance with his pleasure and will." Don't you get it? He predestined us in who we were to be, but we adopted the will of the world and made that our destiny. Identity is just a category that the world throws you in by what you wear and how you act. It's either prep, jock, gangster, emo, Jesus freak, or something else. And then you have to live up to your own categories, expectations. Either way, somebody had some input in who you were to be. And if you just adjust yourself just a little bit, then you would finally have the world's acceptance. But my only question is why? Why did we let so many people have an input in who we were to be? We just let them determine everything. And we live in a world where you can fake who you are with the different people you're with. But it's a problem when you go home, look in the mirror, and have to ask yourself, who am I? It's a problem when you don't know who you really are. And it is a problem that you are breaking because you are changing identities so continuously. Identity is a problem, but nobody wants to talk about it because, hey, our generation will find ourselves eventually, right? And people can say our generation is so messed up, and then our generation takes that and says we blame it on where we come from because we didn't have this or we didn't have that. But the reality? The reality is our generation is in an identity crisis, and they are crying out for help, but they don't know where to find it. And so often the only things there were the things of the world, and I honestly wish those things had never been offered as a place where you could find your identity, because then those things became an addiction, and the things we put inside of our bodies hurt us more than what we can comprehend. All these identities that we were just offered, we have all given into at least one, and we lost sight and our vision was blurred. But today, world, the identity you threw at me is done. And dear world, I know I asked, begged, and pleaded for you to just identify me, for you to just throw me into one of your categories. But today, world, this is the end. And I understand that you might hate me for choosing this, but I can't do this anymore. Because it's like I'm wearing a mask, and every time somebody tries to find me, the mask breaks just a little bit more, and it's so close to shattering like glass. So dear world, I can no longer let you identify me, because the moment I let you do so is the moment I let you determine everything. And dear world, I want to say I'm sorry, but I'm really not. Because after I walked away from letting you identify me, I saw what God had for me, and I saw what God brought. And he brought more than just this false identity. He brought who I really am and who I want to be. So dear world, I can no longer let you identify me, because as of today, as of this very moment, you need to know I choose God to identify me. So as you walk away, please think about all of this, because right now, God bless, you're dismissed.